Welcome back, weary traveler, to Recorder on the Wall, where we just decided we like the series so much we're going to keep coming to it for all 22 books. I'm Pete.
I'm Jeremy.
I am Wylder.
Thank you. Unfortunately, we don't have our other regular two guests. Wylder will let you introduce yourself in just a moment, but unfortunately they both had last-minute small crises come up, so Katie and Drew, we look forward to seeing you for book 2. So, Wylder, you approached me about coming on the podcast. Talk about yourself. How did you find the series, and what's it? Are you still read it today? Outside of the podcast, or what's your favorite book?
Absolutely. So I found the series. It was actually my dad's, and he had almost the entire series up to the point sitting on his bookshelf, along with all their old Forgotten Realms and Dungeons and Dragons books. And so I picked up the Redwall books when I was probably like 8 years old. I don't remember which was the first book that I read, but I really loved them. And I still do read them occasionally today, just for the nostalgia, and because I like the storytelling style. Brian Jacques has a very rich storytelling style that I appreciate. And my favorite books are probably, I can't decide whether I like Martin the Warrior, Rackety Tam, or Marl Fox the best. Those are my 3 favorites.
Fair enough. Yeah, and for anyone just joining us, Jeremy and I both came in the series, by contrast, at Martin the Warrior. And I haven't read all of them. I know, Jeremy, I'm pretty sure you have, right?
I have read. There are 3 that I have not read yet. I have not read the Rogue Crew.
Not much there.
Huh?
Oh.
That's one of my least favorite ones.
We're going to get some pushback from Rogue Crew fans, I'm sure.
I haven't read the Rogue Crew, the Sable Queen, or Eulalia. Those are the 3 that I have not read. And I actually don't own those second 2. I need to get those for the podcast. And I'm currently looking at them on my Amazon wishlist, and they're both very cheap. So.
Whereas I left the series right after Tagarung, at least in publication order. So I'm missing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of the books.
Mm.
So I did read this one back in the day, but I think this Lord Brocktree rather. But I got to be honest, I don't remember anything about this other than Russ Snow starts off the book. So most of this was brand new to me.
Yeah, I fell off after Rackety Tam. Hyrule Lane I got to, and I remember falling off of that one. Then eventually I came back to it. And then I read that one, and looking at it, I had been reading these in order for a while, and then I hit that point, and yeah. But we'll get to those when we get to them, and once we hit a certain point, we're just going to hit the publication order anyway.
This is an interesting book because even among the series, it's missing major portions of the lore that you would expect. It's the only book where Redwall is not present at all, not even in the prologue intro. Martin the Warrior had that. And speaking of Martin, he's not in here in any shape or form, considering he's not alive yet in the series chronology. Is Luke alive yet?
Luke, I think he'd be a kid around this point.
At best, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because Lord Brocktree's son is for the fighter who Martin will meet later in Mossflower.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, that sounds about right. So maybe Luke is alive by this point. We don't know.
Obviously Boar is alive in this one,
and he's a kid.
It sounds like he'd be close to his teens, because I take the 2 male badgers can't live together as they're both he's in his teenage years, and Brocktree's like, hey, I don't want to deal with that.
We're kind of indicated that Brocktree's in his middle age by the various visions tossed around of the upcoming badger from the Wildcat. So yeah, this book begins proper with a prologue of characters we haven't seen yet, at least for the podcast, of Rusino, who apparently got married. I mean, I may be wrong, but it's the only time I can remember a married couple ruling badgers ruling the mountain.
Yeah, unless it happens in one of the books I haven't read, or if I'm misremembering something from one of the later ones. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that this is the only time we see it in the entire Red Bull series. I can't recall any times.
You know, for all the orphans and single parents we have in this series, that is unusual.
Yeah. I mean, it also makes sense, too, because Salamandastron is supposed to be more of like a military location, and it would kind of make sense that there's not, like, a family or, many families over there.
We see a few hair families.
Hair families are expected, but never mind how the badgers maintain a genetically viable population in Mossflower. We're not going to even get into that. We see Rusno and his wife have kids, so a daughter and a son, and they're adorable.
I always really liked these prologue segments and like epilogue segments that we eventually get for all the ones that take place prior to Redwall. Like, I was always a fan of these things where, like, the way they bookend it, no pun intended.
Let's see. But we get into the story proper with let's do the character introductions. There's always a lot more named that we actually bring up, but here's who we have named. We have Brocktree's group, who consists of mostly just about 4 people. There's Brocktree the Badger himself, already mentioned middle season's male badger, Dottie the Hare, we'll get to her in good time, Ruff the Otter, and did I type that wrong?
I think it should be Garth, shouldn't it?
I think it's Girth.
Yeah, my bad. Girth, that's right.
Yep.
I guess. We don't have Katie to verify audio.
Girth Longladle. That's it. Girth.
Yep.
Yeah. But I don't know. Go ahead and make that change on the back for me. If you wouldn't mind. They're the group just kind of walking around the main country. Brocktree, just as Jeremy already mentioned, he left Brockhall, his home, and presumably his wife and teenage son, because we're fed a line about how 2 male badgers can't live in the same place. Yeah, I'm going to call crap on that, but that can come up later.
I don't know. I think it makes sense. I think he means in anything that's not Salamandastron. There's also, granted, I know we haven't gotten to Mossflower yet on the podcast, but if you think back, that was kind of a cramped location in general, and I could see 2 male badgers not getting along in there.
Well, I mean, if anything, the series kind of implies that Salamandastron is expanded upon a number of times as the number of hares continues to grow. By the time the Long Patrol rolls around, there's over 1,000 of them.
Oh yeah,
it makes for some pretty great battles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Salamandastron's complement kind of varies from book to book, but Sorry, go ahead. Yeah, I know we haven't gotten there yet, but if you think to Salamandastron the book, there was 40 of them, and that was it. But then by the time they get the Long Patrol, there's over 1,000. So maybe it just kind of changes depending on if battles have occurred, or if, in this case, it's just literally the old guard, and once they're gone, there's not much left. So, or heck, in Mossflower with Boar the Fighter, I know it's very early on, and probably this was still being developed, but there was 6 of them.
Yeah, that's true.
We haven't covered Salamandastron in the podcast yet because it hasn't come up. We skipped over the Mossflower book, and it's the first time we're really addressing it. Mainly, this is book, 13 in publishing order? I think?
Yes, 13.
Yes, it is. So the rules had been established by the time this book came around.
Yeah.
Long story short, Brocktree is on his way to Salamandastron. Then we have Stonepaw Garrison, and Stonepaw is the actual reigning Badger Lord at Salamandastron, and Brocktree's father. Neat. Unfortunately, I didn't take down the name of his major hares.
There's Stiffener, there's Fleetscut, who, of course, breaks off on his own. There's Blanche, the cook. Those are the ones I can think of off the top of my head.
And Stonepaw, he knows he's on his way out. I mean, as age go, what we would ballpark, he's in his 80s. I kind of read, maybe 70s. So, unfortunately, he's racked with arthritis, and he can't get around very much anymore, but he can still put on some armor and kick some vermin butt. So, but he keeps waiting for his successor to show up, and yeah, about that. Doesn't seem to be one forthcoming.
Not at the time that he's looking for, in any case.
No. But Stonepaw's got a small problem in the fact that there's a wildcat just offshore with, I don't know, a couple hundred.
Giant Nazi army.
Yeah, that's about right. I mean, every bad guy's an autocrat in this series. So just, hey, way it goes. We get it. Speaking of our bad guy, let's go over him.
What do you got?
I'm sure. How do we pronounce this?
Ungatt Trunn.
Ungatt Trunn.
I'm just going to call him Trunn because it's easier.
I would like to point out that I think I remember when I first read this, there's been a couple instances I remember when I would read these books that I would have like a dyslexic moment where I'd goof up the names in my head and then just kind of read it that way until I looked at it closely. I originally saw this name as Ungatt Trunn, so I'm stupid.
Jeremy, how long did it take me to correct Mark Horace in my own head?
Yeah. Well, shoot.
And I still couldn't get it right.
Dude, wait till we get to Mossflower. You're going to laugh at one of the names I goofed up in that one.
Oh, gosh. So, yeah, Trunn has his own army, and complete with toadies and first officers, we have Grottle, I'm assuming that's pronunciation, who's this high magician fox who apparently Grottle was crippled by Trunn at some point, and his family killed in front of him.
Dark.
Great way to win allies.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm sure that's not going to come up in play at all. Someone want to do the voice of Trunn? I don't know how to... I'm not going to even bother trying pronouncing that.
Oh, go ahead.
Fraggle, the Grand Fraggle.
The Grand Fraggle Rock. There we go.
Oh, I would pay good money to see a puppet version of this series.
That would be terrible.
So Fraggle Rock, that's his name now.
That's a girl.
That's her name now.
Her name, excuse me. That's her name now. Yeah, she's just kind of the messenger that goes to Stonepaw and says, "Hey, that's a nice mountain. We're gonna take it." Unfortunately, they didn't bring the necessary paperwork for an eviction, so Stonepaw just says, no.
No.
My mountain. And Trunn's like, okay, we're going to take it. Setting up our first major conflict here.
Yep.
We had...
and if I am correct, and I believe I am, then Ungatt Trunn's army is, in fact, the largest vermin force we ever see in any of the Redwall books.
Really?
Yes, by a long shot, actually.
How big are we talking?
I
mean, did we get a count in the... I didn't see one.
We don't get a count, but we do know that they have enough torches to make the stars disappear because they're so bright, and that when they're standing shoulder to shoulder, you can't see the land from the top of Salmandastron. So,
there's a lot of
thousands. At least, several thousand at the very minimum, which I think the largest woodland force we ever get is not even close to that. Something like 300?
Yep. Yeah, in the Long Patrol, I think they get about 300 in that one. And then we know the vermin force in that one, they do number that one as 1,000. So this one does sound like there's more, because not only are they doing all this, but they're arriving not only by land, but also by sea in multiple ships.
A lot of ships.
Yeah.
Something like you can walk a league along the entire shore by stepping from ship to ship. And in the end, the climactic battle is fought with only not even a quarter of the original force, if I remember rightly.
Well, we haven't read that far officially, so. And I just want to point out, it takes a lot for me to stop, because I start getting into these books, and I keep telling myself, no, that's as far as you're reading for this episode. Don't go on, because I don't want to inadvertently mention something in plot that comes up later. Okay, there's no official count according to the Wikia. We are told what Stonepaw's garrison is. It's about 150. So, yeah, it's enough to overwhelm that.
I do like that Ungatt, or Trunn, or whatever the heck we want to call him, he's not he's confident with what he has, but he also knows his team's, he knows his limits, and he even mentions, I would be worried if those hares numbered the same as my troops. Like, he's not overconfident. No,
there's, compared to a lot of other villains we will see, even Clooney, he's not overconfident. I mean, Slager was nuts. Genuine crazy. He had way overestimated what his abilities can do, and it ended up killing him in the end. Yeah. Clooney was a little bit more disciplined, no doubt of that, so far.
Badrang as well.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Clooney also had, a record of terror, being, this nightmarish terror that just tore through anything in front of him, and we got to see him getting, frustrated in Redwall. Why can't I beat these peaceful nothings? I'm Clooney, darn it.
Giant walls help.
Yes, they do. And, of course, he could have built a large wooden hare and rolled that in. Oh, wait, that's a Monty Python thing. Never mind. Oh. Yeah, Trunn's definitely disciplined, but he's definitely not afraid to get his hands dirty either, much less even if he prefers to have his horde do the fighting for him. But, to be fair, he definitely has a lot of that kingly overconfidence.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
We're told he is the son of a King Mortspear, who we never see. Yep. And rather than just inherit his kingdom, his dad's kingdom, he's going to take all the vermin and go carve out something else.
Yeah, and we find out his brother is, I think it's pronounced Verdaga, who is, of course, featured in Mossflower.
Seems like these Wildcats have the bad habit of getting into Mossflower business.
Yeah.
So. And then
I do like the little touches with him of him actually respecting his opponents as well, where when the hares chant and shout their battle cries after they've made the stars fall from the sky and things like that, and he's like, no, they're showing that they're not afraid either, and you can kind of tell he has this strange respect for his enemies that he doesn't find he sees them as lower creatures, but he can notice and respect their bravery.
To be honest, the vibe I got from him reading this was kind of a Xerxes from the 300 movies. Self-important, yes. Self-important, maybe a little flashy, but not stupid.
Yeah.
That's probably pretty accurate.
And then the last major group we're going to be following along here is Fleetscut, who is one of Stonepaw's aging hares. He's basically dispatched and says, go find reinforcements, please, quickly. And Fleetscut takes off, and so he runs into a couple of major parties. First, in a pine grove, when he's being chased by some of Trunn's wraths, is pine squirrels, for the best of them. They're a self-guiding band of squirrels who define their own pine grove, and they just happen to kill the rats for Fleetscut, not because they want to protect him, but because they want the loot the rats are carrying. I wouldn't argue that these guys are, they're obviously not, tribal, as Galway tribe will be in Martin the Warrior, but they're not, I'm really out for them, they're not, the normal, hey, we'll help you because we're part of the good species narrative that we always get.
Yeah, they are more in that gray area.
They're scavengers. They kill because they want weapons, so that they can kill to get more weapons, I guess.
It's a vicious cycle.
I think they actually fit well, though, in this pre-Redwall, pre-Long Patrol time era, where it's like, oh, like this is kind of the frontier, and discipline hasn't really come into it, and there aren't a whole lot of peaceful locations for woodlanders to really gather.
No. I mean, arguably at this point in Mossfire history, you have St. Ninian's, but that's the only major building around. Yeah. Because we can presume that Green Eyes hasn't moved into Coder Castle yet.
Although Coder Castle is still there because Verdauga didn't build it, so...
No, he didn't.
Yeah, he repurposed it.
So they eventually just decided to join Fleet's Cut because he basically insults them to do it, if I recall right.
Yeah. He first asks for their help, and they tell him, no, there's only 40 of us, and we'd be dead, and we kind of need to take care of our own, and he respects that at first. Yeah, he respects that at first, and then all of a sudden he hates them.
Well, it kind of goes crazy there once Salmandastron falls.
Yeah, I get that he's upset over that, but in all honesty, him calling them cowards, it's no, there's maybe 50 of them, and there's literally thousands of Trunn's horde. They wouldn't have made any difference.
They might have made a small dent, and no one would have noticed. Yeah.
And they would all be dead,
vermin.
So...
Yeah.
Except the vermin they would have killed,
Exactly.
We've always already said, the evil master is spawning vermin on a far-off island. Yeah, I don't think they care about numbers.
I can get though if he's angry for her because Juka does mention that we saw them coming, we saw all this, we saw where they were headed, and I could get it if he was angry with them for not saying anything or not looking for help or not notifying some big group or something like that. I could totally get that part because you saw this coming, why didn't you do anything about it? Why didn't you warn us? But as for not turning around and immediately trying to fight, yeah, that would have been suicide.
One of the other squirrels who ends up befriending Fleet's Cut is Ruro. Is that how you pronounce it?
That sounds right.
Sure.
Ruro, and then along the way they run into two hedgehog brothers who are out looking for their nephew. Is it nephew? Yeah.
Well, they're adopted son, actually.
Yeah, they even said they just sort of found him. And
that happens a lot in this franchise.
There's a lot of abandoned kids in this franchise.
Yeah, and his name is Skittles. Okay, there's a candy joke there to be made, but I'm not going to do it because that's too easy. We have standards on this show for humor.
I'm doing my best to resist a joke. Move on quickly.
Just get it out of your system, man.
No, keep going.
All
right, what do we have next to talk about the Dottie's
those
pathetic...
are all the major characters here. We haven't gone into depth on Dottie or Ruff or Girth yet, but there's also a couple other minor villains, there's a family of Stoats who get knocked around by a Brocktree, and some river weasels who are never seen again.
Who get knocked around by Brocktree.
Yeah. It's a running theme, have you noticed?
And I think these are some of the most pathetic vermin we ever see in the entire series.
I do want to bring up, though, Trunn's army, this gets kind of cultish at points. I mean, now they're all... Okay, a lot cultish. We see the initiation of two new people, new one into the ranks, and yeah, where in other books we kind of see officers or even regular foot soldiers don't exactly like the top guy, or are plotting against them, or even try and stab them in the back. That's not happening here. First of all, mostly we can tell. I mean, both Fraggle Rock and Grottle. I'm gonna do that all 3 episodes, aren't I? Yeah, they're loyal. They're loyal to Trunn. So, props for that.
Yep.
But
these two new recruits, These two new recruits. I mean, what is it, Rip Fang and Doomeye? I'm sure neither of them will ever be important ever again.
Yep, that's the way it goes. All right.
Yep.
Another thing that's important to note about Ungatt Trunn's army is, unlike all of the other vermin armies that we see, they actually seem to be competent in what we would consider like standard military matters. Like, they drill and they walk in ranks and things like that, which we only ever see the Long Patrol do, other than Ungatt Trunn's army in the entire series.
This is true. He does have a lot of like commanders and captains who are in charge of like specific things too. Like one's in charge of keeping them in ranks, one is leading them into battle.
To be fair, Clooney had officers, but he didn't. I mean, they were all scheming against each other at points. So.
And also, these officers seem competent.
Yeah.
Right. And we definitely
Slagar had no.
No, Clooney's officers were more like, these are the less incompetent of the group.
Except for Cheese Thief.
Yeah.
Oh, what about Scrag?
Oh, there's the guy. Oh.
Or wait, no, was Scrag boiled alive or cut in half? I can't remember.
No, Scrag was the one that got pushed off of the tree.
Oh, yeah.
And then there was the
he got
bump guy.
pushed off the tree, and then Cheese Thief stood on his throat and murdered him slowly in front of Matthias and a baby. All right. Yeah,
exactly.
You know, for kids.
I remember him. How can I forget him now? God.
I'm just thinking of the guy who was a speed bump in the entrance chapter for Clooney.
Oh, well, God.
I don't even remember his name.
Something
he's
with
just
a
speed
rat.
Bump. Yeah.
Or it was Kilconey that got chopped in half.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah,
who got boiled alive?
If I remember right.
Was it Darkfang who got boiled alive?
Yes.
I don't know.
Yes, it was. Darkclaw, that was it.
Darkclaw, that's it.
Yeah, and he shows up in Clooney's fever dream. He's like, look what they did to me!
Do you have any burn cream?
I said I wanted soup, but not like this!
But we're on the back to the book at hand. Yeah.
All right.
That's all our major party here. Now, Brocktree's group we need to explain the other three. And there were no neutrals, really, at all here. Brocktree's group. We have Brocktree himself, who we already mentioned is a terrible father and walked away from his son. No, I'm not going to let go of that.
He went on a nature walk.
Yeah, thank you. We have Dottie the Hare, who apparently is such a terrible child. She's being sent to Salamandastron to be beaten regularly and be forced into the ranks.
It seems to be a running motif in this book. Like, horrible children or horrible parents.
Except for Girth. That's it.
No, Ruff. I don't think Ruff's a terrible parent or child.
No, Ruff said he left before he got thrown out. The only person who was sad to see him go was his old granny.
Oh my God.
Yeah. The reject squad here.
Was this the A-team? And then Gert the Mole, who fights with the ladle. So.
Who is also very not like a mole. For one thing, he likes water.
So yeah, these kind of the four, they all meet up together.
They must somehow form a family.
Yeah. If you make a Brady Bunch joke, I'm going to reach to the internet and strangle you.
I think I already did.
Well, true. Okay, I'll give you that one. So Brocktree meets Dottie when she's defending herself from a family of stoats and cracks a bottle of ale over their heads.
Apple cider.
Oh, excuse me. He meets Ruff when they're just kind of going downstream with the logging. Like, okay, I'll join up.
Actually, if you remember, Ruff is like over sitting on the bank of the stream, and Brocktree just attacks him for no reason because he thinks he's spying on them.
He's a
so
bad
that's a great introduction.
And they kind of meet the Mole family, and hey, you want to take my son with you? Okay.
Can he cook? Yep. Awesome.
He's coming. So, okay, before we get into the plot overall, talk about serious lore here. Again, we mentioned there's no Redwall. There's no Martin.
Yep.
Okay, that's fine. But the word Dibben is dropped multiple times. And at least for the podcast's sake, this is the first time we've ever seen it.
This is true.
Yeah, but for those who are following the series along with us for the first time, all two of you, Dibben is kind of just a generic name given to a child. It's mostly for those living at Redwall, but it's used here as a noun or, I guess, designate age.
Yeah, it was used to refer to, like, I think they refer to Skittles as a Dibben.
I wonder where Brian got that. Oh, I was just wondering where Brian got that name. It seems like an odd noun.
I don't know.
That's a good question.
I mean, his names get invented, let's be honest here, but he's not going out inventing words left and right like, J.K. Rowling. And I like the Harry Potter series. The other thing is, we didn't get that many songs in the first two books that we've covered, with Redwall and Maida Mayo. There is a song every other page in Lord Brocktree.
The length of them is also quite long. Like, I mean, in Maida Mayo, the closest we had was Sir Harry the Muse, but that was mainly used for his dialogue with, like, the different like his poems. Whereas in this one, I can't remember if it's this book or another one, but there was one of these where I hit the point where I was like, dear God, there are a lot of songs in this book.
Yeah, and I admit, here's the thing, guys. The songs are one of the reasons I probably left the series back in the day. I can't say that for sure, but I can remember just as I started reading more and more books, it's just like, come on. Yeah. I stopped reading the lyrics and was just like, okay, what's next?
Yeah, I was kind of doing that when I was reading this one, and
I forced myself to read most of them here, but I'm getting flashbacks.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, sometimes they can serve a purpose, like how near the end when the Hares march off and are singing their marching song as like a part of defiance against Trunn. I thought that was good. Like that was a good use of it. But yeah. Did Dottie's apparently ear-piercing song have to be, like, entire page?
We need to mention this, because Dottie apparently is the worst musician we've ever seen in the entire books.
Too bad they can't weaponize that.
She's like the opposite of Songbreeze.
Yeah.
Or Rose.
Yep.
Or a lot of characters, actually. But as far as series lore goes, that's the two things that came up to me. Anything you guys else noticed that we haven't already mentioned?
Not that I can think of, really.
Well, that just leads me into the next bit. How anthropomorphic are they? Yeah, how anthropomorphic are they in this book? I'm going to bend towards a pretty anthro more than feral here. The cover artwork and most of the chapter artworks tend to agree with me. These guys walk around on two legs.
Yep, Brocktree with normal, like, full-on chainmail.
Yeah.
So.
I think that was Trunn who wears chainmail. Brocktree's got the big giant sword that he straps to his back.
Yeah.
He's in some sort of armor on the U.S. cover.
Yeah.
Not on the U.K. cover, though. And Trunn, they don't show us the back cover, so we can't see Trunn on the U.S., but yeah, he's in full-fledged armor on the U.S. cover.
Complete with a helmet with a spike on top. That's kind of not subtle.
Trunn, but yeah.
That's what I meant. Trunn's got the helmet with a spike. That's not very subtle.
Yeah, no, it's not. But, yeah. Compared to other books we've seen, this is definitely anthropomorphic.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
so let's get into the plot.
It seems like all of the animals here wear clothes, unlike Winifred the Otter in Redwall, who apparently just walks around naked.
I don't know how to respond to that one.
No one walks around on all fours either.
No one does. But yeah, everyone's wearing something. So I guess, are we going to call the Abbey a hippie commune? So.
Hey man, come to the Great Hall where you can meet the spirit of Martin the Warrior.
Well, speaking of someone on drugs, let's get into the actual plot. Because Stonepaw is drugged out. And this is well before Sister May comes along.
I was wondering where she got some of those recipes from.
Stonepaw has a problem. Apparently he's been lighting some hallucinatory incense so often to try and see his successor.
All right.
It happens more than once.
Resisting the urge to make a lame pun here.
Do it. Just do it.
All right. So would that make him Stoned Paw then?
That's his name from now on. Stoned Paw.
Oh, man. Yeah, they say that Salamander Strong is an extinct volcano. I don't think that was volcanic smoke coming out of the top of it.
He begins the books before the vermin's going to show up. He's trying to find a successor, and instead of actually sending out people to do it, he's just tapping in some drugs and hoping he's going to catch a video. I mean, I'm not opposed to mysticism in this series, but no, this is drugs.
This kind of happens a lot at Salamander Strong. I'm pretty sure they do, well, we'll get there, but they do this in the book Salamander Strong too. Earthstripe, I think, inherited Stoned Paw's habit.
You know, I don't know. We'll
or found a stash.
Confirm that. We'll have to confirm that when we get there.
Yep.
So Stonepaw's trying to find his successor by LSD, and while Trunn is making landfall on his beach. Meanwhile, we cover over to Brocktree, who slowly assembles his group, and as we've already mentioned, he left behind his wife and child in Mossflower. Okay, we'll deal with that later when we come to it.
Cue Cat in the Cradle.
Yeah. Meanwhile,
Badger arrived just the other day.
Oh God. Meanwhile, Trunn definitely he makes landfall, and we see him drinking out of a skull. You know, for kids.
He's also got that creepy spider fetish.
I noticed that too. We haven't talked about that yet. Yeah, dude likes spiders. He often watches them to get ideas for battles and strategies.
What a tangled web we weave.
Yeah, that menace, Spider-Man. No, that didn't work. I'm going to have to delete that joke.
Or if it was Stoned Paw, it was that spider, man.
And Trunn is apparently brother to Green Eyes, and we haven't seen him yet.
I'm sure he's nobody of importance.
Which, weirdly enough, makes Trunn something like the great-great-great-granduncle of Squire Julian that we saw in Redwall.
It's true.
Yeah, I am your brother's nephew's father's former roommate.
So what does that make us?
I do want to point this out, at least for the podcast's sake. This is the first time we've seen a bad guy acting on a prophecy. I'm sure he's got nothing to worry about a middle-aged badger coming for him, right?
That'll be fine.
Yeah, both Trunn and Brocktree keep having repeated dreams where they see each other, and they want to murder him. Murder him good.
I smell romantic comedy.
Oh, God.
Brocktree almost takes out a burrow full of moles because of him.
Yeah. Hey, do we have any blood rage or blood wrath in this first book? I don't think we do.
I don't think so.
Or, yeah, I don't think it happens. No one's eyes go red. We don't see them in a bloodlust. Stonepaw actually shows some tactical smarts and retreats when he can't win down to the lower caverns. So, no, I don't think we have blood wrath there.
Well, at least so far.
No, not yet. Grottle. This is pulling from the notes when I was reading this. Yeah, he's a Starscream. It's not explicit that he's trying to take over, but you can definitely tell if he gets his chance, he may take Trunn down.
Yeah. I would like to point out that Trunn is very less forgiving than some of the than say like Clooney. Like, whereas Clooney...
forgiving as I am.
Huh?
I was quoting Vader.
Oh.
You'll find that Trunn is not as forgiving as I am.
Well, it's like Clooney, when one of his henchmen and Sela were obviously lying to him, he kind of poked fun at them and then laughed afterwards. Whereas a soldier tries lying to Trunn runs forward, grabs him and it was two of them, grabs them both by their shoulders and shakes them enough to snap their necks just by the force alone, and then throws them out a window.
Yeah, Vermin HR is going to have have a problem with that one.
And then just to make it even better, afterwards he just kind of calmly turns back around and goes, "So, anything else to report?"
Sir, we've explained this to you already. You can't keep throwing people out windows.
We have a couple thousand more where they came from.
It's really driving up life insurance.
You see by the end of the book, there's this giant pile of them out the window, and they're like, "What happened to your army?" "They annoyed me."
He runs out of army, and he has to fight Brocktree alone.
They lied to me.
And then after that, he has the captains taken out and lashed with the flat of their swords, right?
Yeah. I mean, there's inspiring loyalty, sure, and there's two ways you can do that. It's through fear or through respect, and he's going for the fear. Full-on Machiavellian here.
He actually says that outright when he is talking with the captive hares.
Yep.
I rule by fear, not by affection. Something like that.
I have to ask, I mean, we're kind of dashing around here, but are there any vermin major leaders who rule by respect instead of fear?
Plug Firetail.
I have no idea who that is, because I probably haven't read the book.
From Triss.
Okay.
He is my favorite vermin leader, other than Captain Clog. Captain Clog is my favorite vermin leader. He is near to my heart.
Well, I mean, I'm trying to think of most of the villains I can remember, and no, they all rule through fear. Huh.
Yeah. And in a lot of cases, that comes back to bite them.
Oh, big time.
Pearls of Lutra, anyone?
I was actually thinking Mossflower.
No, that too.
Well, it happens in almost every book in the series, if I'm remembering rightly, so...
I do want to point this out. I mean, not that Basil was any truly better here, but Dottie does not shut up.
Yeah, well, why do you think she was kicked out of her home?
I mean, I do love the fact that Brocktree's at least willing to share some of her humor, but like, you should just cut off my foot, we've been marching so long. Okay.
And he just draws his sword. He's like, okay, I'll hold it out. She's like, okay, no. Never mind.
So where do we leave off? Oh yeah, Trunn was invading the mountain. He does. But Brocktree loses all but about, 20 of this fight?
Stonepaw?
Stonepaw, thank you.
Yeah, he loses most of them, though it's interesting because Trunn captures a large portion of them.
60, as I recall.
Yeah.
Which means that we have around half, so basically about half died.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Of the original 150.
I think the book says something like there were just so many vermin that they overwhelmed them and they weren't even able to fight at all.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense to a degree.
Yeah, because we don't even get, an actual action scene or anything of Salamander Strong being overwhelmed. Most of it happens off screen or off page.
I kind of would have liked to see that, honestly.
We get a second-hand report to Stonepaw. That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the mountain's overrun. Stonepaw and a small group hide in the basement while the others get captured and basically turn into slaves. And Trunn owns the mountain. So, and to be fair, at least in the books we've read, he's probably the only vermin leader to hold on to what he's captured probably the longest.
Yeah.
Granted, all we have to compare him, at least as far as the podcast so far, is Clooney and what's his face, the Raven.
Oh, Iron Beak.
My mind went blank. Thank you.
Yeah.
And they didn't hold. They maybe managed to make it less than 24 hours, both of them. So.
Well, Iron Beak never actually. Well, Iron Beak lasted about a page. Clooney lasted about 2 pages. Let's go.
Yeah.
And then both of them immediately thwarted. Though granted, Ironbeak a little bit more quickly than Clooney was, because Ironbeak just got the heck kicked out of him by Strike Redkite.
Even Clooney never really secured the Abbey before he got overrun and attacked again.
This is true. Doesn't Matthias just come right through the front door?
Yeah.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah, I think they just charged through the open gates, if I recall correctly.
Clooney's like, darn it, I knew I forgot something.
The door must be closed!
Yeah, so Trunn does actually take, is implied to be the largest military fortress in the entire series, and holds it for a significant amount of time.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm sure he won't have any trouble holding it later.
No. I'm sure they won't run out of resources either.
Yeah, he's got such a huge army, he can easily hold it.
I mean, it's not like he has to worry about feeding and supplying them.
No. They're all aliens that have just spawned out of nowhere, and so they don't need food.
Yeah. So Fleetscut, while this is happening, as we mentioned, Fleetscut, he kind of went to go get reinforcements, and he meets up with the squirrels. Yeah, he takes the fall of Salamanders run well.
Really well.
Yeah. So yeah, that's those are three major parties walking around. We kind of end. I mean, the book one here ends, and they're just kind of. They're still looking for more hares, and apparently some younger hares went north and made their own little kingdom, including one actually crowning himself a king.
Yeah.
I'm sure he'll maintain that title.
Oh, yeah.
It's not like we have this whole theme of Badger Lord Destiny going on or anything.
No. I think this is also one of the few instances, because we get the shrews in there, I think it's one of the few instances where Logalog actually has a name with the title.
Logalog Grin.
You mean...
she's
yeah. Yeah. Huh. You mean, the question is, are they wearing red yet? We don't know.
No. No, this isn't
however... God. However, I do want to point out...
There's 1,000 shrews piled up in the corner.
I do want to point out something. Trunn's horde, the cult, they all are painted blue, and I mean, like, blue for good. They have some sort of magic powder that stains their fur blue, which,
it's a permanent dye. Think of it like hair dye.
Yeah. Yeah, but hair grows. That's one of that point.
Oh, yeah.
So.
Yeah.
So it's basically they're tattooing everything.
Yep. Ouch.
Yeah. I just want to point out, what is he thinking in the way of camouflage? Okay, yeah, it's intimidating to see this entire, thousands of blue rats and other horde coming at you. Sure. Totally fine with that. But if you're talking about a person who would be smart tactically, greens or browns would be better than us. At best, your best option for camouflage is coming out of the blue ocean, which it isn't always blue based on your area.
He's a very big Eiffel 65 fan.
I think it has to do more with intimidation, because when we read a lot there, he's almost obsessed with the idea of intimidation, so he has all of his troops perfectly drilled, they line up in ranks, he uses his little magic tricks to make the earth shake and the stars disappear. And also, if you think about it, it's like wearing a uniform, almost. Everybody knows, like, you can't desert from Ungatt Trunn's horde. You are blue. You're not going to be able to blend in with regular vermin. So, there's several different aspects of it that I can see.
I mean, if you did desert, you could always try the trope we always know is that works to disguise people, and that's a hooded cloak.
I think also, if you think about it, if you had a horde of a couple thousand vermin, would you really bother with trying to camouflage them?
Probably not.
Right. Also, it could be a recruitment tactic. Hey, we should go join them. They have cool blue fur dye. It can be totally radical.
All the cool rats are doing it.
Oh my god. That's most of my notes. Jeremy, what else did you have?
That's about it. I mean, like I said, I really like the scene where the hare is led by sail ears. Essentially, it's like the one good moment of singing in the book where they're singing their marching song as like a way of defying Trunn and his horde. Like they
kind of a bridge on the river Kwai moment.
Yeah, I thought that was very good of them. Like, you see, like even though, I think that's part of the fact that that they've grown so old is they've seen everything, they've been through everything, so nothing scares them anymore.
We are talking it's not named the Long Patrol yet officially, but we are talking military hares. You know, they might have to face some torture or imprisonment or be worked to death, but they know they did their duty here in trying to defend their home.
They'll stand proud until the end.
Yeah, they're veterans. Stonepaw stalwarts, right? That was what they called them?
Yep. And I like the moment where we see, like, throughout this part of the book of Stonepaw, you know, sometimes barely able to move, not able to even eat, and yet when Trunn challenges him, he's still tough enough to throw a javelin, like, who knows how far, and pin another rat to the ground.
Yeah. You could probably argue that was a little blood-wrathy.
Yeah.
Well, badgers always seem to have infinite reserves of strength, so probably hurt a lot, but
yeah. He probably walked back inside. He was like, "Ow, my shoulder."
Why'd you let me do that?
It's like, sir, that was your only giant javelin. Darn it!
One other thing I want to kind of note is how atypical of a protagonist Dottie is. Because she's really the main focus of the series, including the fact that all of the chapters have an alternative name, specifically for Dottie's story.
Yeah, I hadn't forgotten about that, but yeah.
Oh, yeah.
The book, the book is called The Days of Ungatt Trunn, but nope, it has a secondary title, aka Dorothea Leaves Home, Dorothea being her full name. And the second one, which we will get to next time, is At the Court of King Bucko, also entitled The Tribulations of Hairmaid. So yeah, that's interesting. I mean, we do see occasionally Brian will step away from his normal three books to change a little bit. This is one of them. Is it Marlfox that does acts?
Yes.
Yes, that is correct.
Yeah.
Anyways, one of the things that, you know, a lot of Brian's writing adhering to, you know, older, more legendary styles tends to have the heroes be, you know, relatively one-dimensional and have a certain set of attributes that are almost always all positive.
So in the case of Dottie, she's more of a reject that kind of has to find her way to becoming a hero.
And it's not like that's going to be a recurring theme in this series.
No.
Oh, wait. That was Matthias.
Well, to be fair, Dottie is more of a black sheep than Matthias was.
Definitely. Matthias was just a novice. Maybe a little. At the beginning of that book, he was just trying to find his way. Sure. So.
And Dottie is more of an annoying little brat.
Yeah, I definitely have to agree with you on that. Who apparently cannot sing to save her life.
Though if she does it around some of the enemies, maybe she'll do it to save other people's lives.
Okay, I think that kind of wraps us up, or do we need to mention anything else?
I think that's all I have.
Wylder, thanks for joining us, and we'll see you. Definitely hope you catch you for the next one.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Where can they find us?
Yep.
Oh, is there anything you want to plug before we, like a site or anything, personal project?
Me?
Yeah.
Oh. If you haven't already, stop by the Red Wolf Forums. We're always happy to have you. That's all I have.
Indeed. Jeremy, where can they find us on the internet?
All right, you can find us at recorderonthewall.com. We are up on iTunes and Google Play Podcast, and we're also, Pete, you have a thread on Reddit as well, right?
I posted the Redwall subreddit, yep, and the Redwall forums, both. Wylder, we'll see you in around 2 weeks, and we'll do the next book.
Excellent. I look forward to it. I will see you guys later then.
Take care.
See you later, folks.
All right. Have a good night.